Yeah, Tony Gardiner and director of DIY.
And I am Lachlan Marks, and I am the screenwriter of DIY. So Tony and I met at a party, I think 15 years ago, maybe 16 years ago.
Give or take.
And it was the thing where we were like, guess what? We like all the same music, all the same movies. We need to make like a short film, something together ASAP. And it didn't happen for the next 16 years. Like it fell over so many different times. We had so many different projects, different things we were going to do. And then this one locked in within like 2 weeks. Like we had the script and Tony like onboarded a couple of actors, and then suddenly it was like go time. So it's chaos.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I had recently relocated to Los Angeles from Sydney, Australia, had a fairly okayish career back home and chasing the Hollywood dream, and wanted to make something with an American aesthetic and something for a more global audience. And having known Lockie for 16 years and
not made a short film. But
I reached out to Lachlan, and he's fairly prolific with his writing. So I was like, let's do it. Can you give me some scripts? And he threw me some scripts, and DIY definitely jumped out at me. And once we onboarded the cast, one of the cast said, I'm in town for 2 weeks. If you can do it within 2 weeks, let's go. And that kind of lit a fire under us to get it done.
Yeah, it was crazy. But the idea is actually an interesting thing. Well, I mean, to me it is. But my friend Tristan, I do live in Amsterdam, and my friend Tristan was also living in Amsterdam, and we connected, and he was a filmmaker, and we worked on a bunch of different ideas together over time. But he was like, I've always had this thing, and it's just a drill goes into a wall, and some blood comes out of the wall, and I don't know what happens next. And I've tried to write it like 15, 20 times, and I can't crack it. Would you be open to doing it? And I was like, I would love to, like, give it to me. And so, so we developed it over time, and that like, Julie, like Tristan has a shared like story credit just for that opening image, like, because it's such an iconic like thing. And then I was like, okay, well, I got to figure this out. And it was just like the kind of like a story Tetris that had to work to justify how that could happen and everything from there. So,
yeah, look, I think I've always been into the horror genre for sure. Lachlan is definitely more of the horror fan, but I've been attracted to it for a long time. I just sort of couldn't access my way into it naturally through my own writing or filmmaking. So through the friendship and working together, Lachlan was definitely the key that opened the door for me to genre.
Yeah, I think like to me, like the promise of a horror film is the roller coaster of it, right? And it's just escalating all the time, and just right away from the thing that's going to happen, and just kind of keep doing that stuff. And I think, like, I live to collaborate, because just realizing my own vision, it's just not that exciting. And so to me, it's like make a blueprint, share it with other people, see what we could add. Like, and this was a particularly collaborative thing. Like, we had a different ending originally. We like kind of reworked a lot of things with the team. And what Tony was able to bring to it, especially just like shooting this whole thing in like 10 hours, like back to back, like the whole thing was done in 10 hours, chaos, like, but also it's just such a joy to see, I thought it might be this way. I know actually it's going to be this way, and it's way better that way. That's the kind of thing, and I know Tony can deliver on that, and that's why I was really excited that he was keen to partner on it.
I think that was a really fun thing about this project, how collaborative it was. Lachlan and I started it, and because it all kind of came together with our lead cast, Damon Herriman and Claire Lovering, because it all happened so quickly within 2 weeks, I gave the script to Claire forwarded it to Damon, and Damon said, I'm in, but I've got some notes. And then Lachlan's other life is playing music, and he was jumping off stage, literally in the back of a tour bus, jumping into a writer's room with us for a week and a half, finalising this script, and it all happened so organically, and I think the team worked together so beautifully and nicely, and there was no bad ideas in a brainstorm, and everything, best idea wins is one of Lachlan's favourite sayings, and something that I completely subscribe to, and that's how it felt. We just kind of sat together, and it's like best idea wins, and we just collaborated and built on it and came up with something that I think we should all be proud of.
Oh, and especially like, so for example, the Jerry character in the film, right? So he originally didn't have any lines, and there was a different motivation for her to kill him at the end. But we got Alexander England on board, who was just a fantastic actor, and we're like, we can't just like let him get drilled in the head and, well, spoilers, but like not like make something of it. And I think we wrote the monologue like maybe 3 or 4 days before like we shot it, and he just delivered. Like I was watching that monitor I think we only got 2 takes of him getting that, and they were both completely different. And he just, the other guys were also fantastic, of course, but just watching him come in for this very small beat and just absolutely kill it was so cool. And it was and this was something that we kind of written, 3 to 4 days before.
Yeah. So we did it one day in Alhambra, in Los Angeles. I think from bump in, bump out was 12 hours on the dot, because that's what Gigster had subscribed. And it was like any short film, and I'm sure you've heard a lot today, is tight budget. And that's all I had money for. I didn't have money for overtime. So I come from a background of shooting episodic television back home and in Australia, and you very stick to the schedule. And that, I think, gave me the power to prioritise shots, and also working with such A-list cast. Super thankful they all said yes to coming on board, and we rehearsed it and things like that. But yeah, 12-minute film in 10 hours of actual shooting time, single camera coverage. It was a challenge, but we literally did it to the minute. I think the shutter door came down at, I think we may have got 1 minute of 1 minute of overtime.
It was literally bang on. I think it was bang on 5 p.m. Literally, the door went down, and it was everybody pitched in. So I usually work in a co-writing team with it's a trio. It's myself, Beck Murray, and Jasper Gunnar-Gore, and we were in LA, which was amazing. I'd finished this tour. I happened to be in LA. Tony's like, "We're going to shoot this thing. You got to come to set, figure it out." And then so Beck and Jasper both worked on the film. And we didn't have a dead body, someone to play the dead body. And Jasper was like, I could totally do that. And wow, he
played dead.
He's like, you watch me. And he played it so serious. He's like, okay, so the angle that I fall, okay, it's going to be this. And he put himself in the most uncomfortable position for this shot, but committed to it for an entire day of just being this dead body in the background of this film forever. And he was just, it's still the thing that gets the biggest gasp when we watch the film with big. In Sydney we played to we were very, very fortunate to play to some large audiences. I think it was the first audience about 800 people or something. And just the gasp when you see him dead on the ground, I'm like, such a convincing dead body. Look at him, and he's quite proud of it. He's just like, I'm so dead.
Harking back to collaboration, I think, because we were so time crunched and things like that, the trust that existed between myself and Lachlan, myself and the cast and Lachlan, and then I also DP'd this. My previous career was as a DP before I moved into directing about 6-7 years ago. And the reason I took on DPing is because I knew we'd be so time crunched, and I got a camera operator on board, and just so I could light it and then he could camera operate it. And I just think the trust between all of us, all the HODs, and then below the heads of department, the people that helped us out on the shoot, that's what made this happen. And I think that's, what shows on screen is that you always watch your work and think, oh, I could do this better, I would do that better. But for me, there's no shot missing for me. There's little things of props and backgrounds, and I wish I would go for performance. And not that the performance was anything wrong. It's just I would like a different option. But there was no shot missing. It was all there. There was no compromises made for story on such a tight schedule. And I think that's what I really kind of took away from this project, is that the collaboration and the trust that the entire cast and crew had was hopefully this can, I made this film as a bit of a calling card for Lachlan, myself. The cast are already established, but I would dearly love to take the entire team onto a feature off the back of this. Yeah. That's the ultimate goal. It was I had my shot list. It was completely shot listed, and it was generally you've got your master, and then you've got a two-shot and a single or whatever. I was like, hey, cool, we're not getting the wide shot on this one. That's fine. Because I also ended up doing the overall edit, and someone helped polish it. But so I was cutting in my head on the day because I was watching that clock and knowing that we had to be out of there. So the act. However, having said that, there was a couple of times that Claire or Damon wanted to go again, and I trust my actors. If they want to go again, I'm always going to give my actor a second go at it, because I know that usually that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, it was very minor, very minor. I was on the set, and I was also nobody wants a writer on the fucking set. How annoying is that? And I kind of knew my place, but I think the entire day I gave Tony 2 notes, and one of them he'd already thought of, and he's like, I've already figured a way to actually do that. I was like, great. So really focused work, from everybody. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think if you stop learning, like, you know, I think you'd ask some of the most experienced filmmakers that I look up to and that Lachlan looks up to, that you learn from every set. You take something away from every set, and it's hard to pin down something specific on this particular project. I think it is just harking back to the people that you work with, and I think if you know, filmmaking, I think, is no longer a dictatorship. Back in the day, I think directors sort of maybe saw themselves as, you know, the be-all and end-all, but I take a very holistic and collaborative approach to filmmaking, and I think Lachlan does as well. And I think that's what I learned, is just there's just so many, if you find yourself good collaborators, you're just constantly learning. You're always like taking bits and pieces from their processes and adding them to your processes and making the overall experience better for everyone.
I think you're only going to get the best result if everybody's excited about the project.
Yeah.
And the whole idea that, like, I feel like people use the word compromise way too much. Like, oh, I had to compromise on this, or I had to compromise on that. And it's like, well, like, would you like everybody on the basketball team to be excited about, like, winning the game or whatever? And I think it's like, it's kind of like, yeah, it's just about, if everybody's enthusiastic, wow, you're going to get a great result. And I think the thing I kind of learned is, like, in the moment, being like critical of my own writing and different things, like mostly my own stuff. It's kind of, what I kind of learned was then watching it with an audience, like, it doesn't matter what I think. It just doesn't matter. And then just when it works with an audience and you're sitting in a crowd, and like I was sitting in Sydney and a woman like grabbed my hand and screamed, and it was like really, really hard. And I was like, oh wow, I had no idea how effective this beat in this film was. Like, how would I know? And I guess the thing I learned the most from it was, like, it doesn't matter what I think. My opinion's kind of irrelevant. Like, it like, trust the people you're working with is what I would say. Like, and there's lots of moments where I was like, oh, you know, maybe this line isn't going to work or whatever, and then you see it play to an audience and you go, I was completely wrong on that. That was exactly the way to play it.
Or you see an actor's choice of a line. You know, there's still to this day, like, I watch it back, and the little subtleties that Alex, Damon and Claire brought to their performances, I still pick up on little things now, and it's just, there's like little looks that Damon gives and things like that I think are on rewatchings, and it's just those little moments of joy.
There is one line that you and I think is the funniest line in the film, and an audience has never reacted to, right? What is that? What does that be?
Oh, it's Damon's little look to the drill after she.
It's my favorite bit of the whole film. But audiences are just like, no, I'm in the moment. I'm like, you know, I'm focused on the story or whatever. But I mean, or maybe it's not a great beat or whatever. But for us, it was just like,
For me, it was just working with the actors, working with everyone, as I've touched on in this interview, but working with such brilliant actors in Alex, Claire and Damon, it was just such a joy. Like, going back to that, the choices they make and seeing their process, you know, and just the absolute professionalism and how they bring a character to life under such time pressure. And I always try to take any pressure off an actor within my set and absorb it from them so they can give the best performance. If they're thinking about time or an AD or lunch or anything else, then I feel like that's taken away from their performance. But they were just such amazing professionals, and hilarious and funny and giving and just so generous, A, with their time, and B, with their performances. And you know, that for me, I will always be forever in debt to them. And just, you know, simple things like we spoke about Alex before. Like, he came on board because he's the real life partner of Claire Lovering, and, you know, was supporting her and thereby me. And we gave him those monologues 2 days before. And he was journaling the whole day about the backstory of his character for his one monologue. He's sitting there and he's giving the backstory of his character. He was so committed to this role, and it shows on screen. Like, he gave the performance of the day, and Lachlan and I are still, you know, to this day, like, we've got a couple of scripts floating around in future projects, and Alex's name just shoots to the top of every script that we write, just because of his commitment and his talent. And that for me is what stuck out from the day, of just working with these beautifully talented people who are so generous and kind with their talent and
it was incredible. I think the beat for me was, so everything was pretty much shot in sequence, and except for the drill into the wall, which we did quite later on, because, you know, it's a little bit of a stunt, and it's like an actual drill and that kind of stuff, and there's like a blood pack behind it and that kind of thing. And it was just knowing that the film was in the can, and it was, everybody had committed so much time and energy, and it was good. And then when that happened, knowing that I could tell Tristan that we nailed it. I was like, dude, I think you're gonna love this. Like, and just seeing this opening image that he'd originally like pitched me, and he's like, I don't know what to do with it, but like, I don't know what's gonna happen or how it works, but it's just, I feel like this is the way you open a film. And then watching that be shot, and going, I already know we have the film, and I think my little friend's going to be pretty proud of this. And that was kind of the beat for me.